Hey guys, I just watched That Chair movie. It's been a hot minute since I reviewed all of Shinkai's movies. A really fun video with a lot of good opinions, none of which you guys had any gripes with. I think I overrated some of the movies, but most of my feelings still stand. Now, you might have gotten the impression that I really dig this Your Name movie, with the whole one of my favorite films of all time thingy. So with that in mind, you'd expect me to be fairly excited for That Chair movie. And honestly, you'd be right. Oh my god! I was there December of 2021, scraping for any and all piece of news either on Twitter, Crunchyroll, Wikipedia, any fucking website, reloading and revisiting the page every day, fighting for my life to find the movie online, legally, and of course, checking my local release date to not get the chance to miss it. So, now that I've actually seen the movie, what do I think about Suzume? Yeah, it was pretty good. But how does it compare to Shinkai's other works? Let's find out. Spoilers ahead! Describing this movie is an effort all on its own. A girl and a dude go around Japan closing doors because said doors are causing intense earthquakes, because Suzume released a cat and then the cat turned the dude into a chair, a literal walking chair. It's honestly so fucking insane, I can't help but completely respect the commitment to weirdness. But don't be scared about this premise, it's actually a pretty easy film to follow. The movie launches into action almost immediately, everything is explained pretty easily, and the characters are mostly off to their adventures. This is for the best, as the movie has a lot of ground to cover, lots of locations and plot beats. But above all else, first there are the characters. In a shocking turn of events, Shinkai goes for the bold choice of having its protagonist be a high school cis-hetero girl involved with magical disasters. Oh my god, Shinkai, this is the third time you've shown up a high school cis-hetero girl involved with magical disasters in the class, and I will eat it up. Don't care, bring more. Scrumptious. In all seriousness, I don't mind this. Miyazaki had most of his films revolve around little girls in whimsical adventures, and most of us didn't care because they all felt different from each other and said different things. Suzume is no exception. Unlike Mitsuha and Hina, Suzume is a much more chaotic character. She's more reckless, bold, childish, qualities usually associated with male characters. She's still sweet and educated, but still. It's in her interactions with Sota mostly where she gets to show her more playful side. And oh yeah, Soda. He's our male lead. You know, a 17-year-old awkward Oh. That is different. Let's put a pin on that. Sota is a wise young man dedicated to closing these doors who's rather cold and distant. Certainly doesn't help that he's trapped in an emotionless chair for most of the film. This leads to a pretty interesting dynamic where you have the character with all the power and knowledge trapped in a pretty useless husk, and as a result, Suzume has to carry him around to fulfill his mission. As you can imagine, this girl-chair dynamic leads to some hysterical moments. My theater was rolling out of its seat with some of the jokes they pulled. This movie can truly be funny as fuck. Your Name and Weathering With You had their amusing moments, but I think Chair Ventures takes the cake here. And so off they go to an adventure of closing doors. Along the ride, the duo encounters a lot of wacky characters, like this hot boy from the city, this girl who is so gay and so proud of her #release the Yuri cut, and this mother of two who clearly uses Suzume for her personal gain, but like in a cute way. None of these characters are entirely crucial for the story, but they each bring their own little piece and promptly leave soon after. Finding Nemo style, sorta maybe. They're likable characters, though here's where I will have to give the previous works the upper hand. Weathering With You had the superior girl with a motorcycle, I'm afraid. One thing Suzume does better than its predecessors though, it's the music. Not because the previous movies had bad songs, they were all great actually. They were just often played over dialogue, which Suzume completely avoids, replacing them with much more fitting instrumental pieces. As for the visuals, I don't know, all these movies look like eye orgasm to me. No, I won't elaborate. There's also this cat that is kind of the villain of the movie, except not, he just kinda fucks around I guess, being cute and all. I didn't get it all too much. Like, it doesn't bother me, I just wouldn't really notice his absence, you know? But beyond all these bullet points, Suzume is a story about two characters and the relationships they undergo. Oh hey, it's the pin I put beforehand. Suzume and Soda have a troubling age gap. Hooray! At first glance, it looks like the creepiest thing in the world, and on top of that there are tons of scenes of Suzume being sexually arousing to Soda. Now is this a problem? Actually, no. Turns out Soda doesn't reciprocate the feelings at any point of the film. This is not a pedo film, Twitter people, all you need to do is buy a damn movie ticket. But there is an issue that arises from this. Not pedo stuff, just other stuff. Since Suzume and Soda aren't couple-coded or whatever you wanna call it, they can't have the same power as Taki and Mitsuha or Hodaka and Hina. Instead of a sweet, flourishing young love, we have a one-sided crush. Now, if the movie were to, say, make Suzume learn that her love is forbidden, growing up on such realization, this would be fine. But no. Even up until the very end, Suzume claims to love Soda and even goes to great lengths to save him under such pretense. So really, the movie is playing with the idea of a strong bond between the two without really addressing the giant elephant in the room. As a result, some of the sacrifices and compromises the characters do don't feel nearly as strong as, say, Taki going back in time to save Mitsuha or Hodaka throwing hands with the police to save Hina. Don't get me wrong though, Suzume and Soda are good characters in their own right, just maybe not as much as a dynamic duo. On the other hand, Soda has a small arc about losing his humanity at the prospect of becoming an inanimate object, as he symbolically becomes attached to his duty as protector, which kinda ties back to the theme of Japan slowly fading out of life because of the destruction that was caused. Spoilers for later in the review, I guess. However, he gets saved by the people who care about him and is allowed to continue living his life, and that's a beautiful speech while stopping the world in warm. It's not much, but goes a long way into making his character more likable. Suzume, on the other hand, is an orphan made to live with her aunt. She's not exactly an emotional wreck, she seems to be living a very comfortable life, but based on her actions and predisposition to jump into danger, you can tell she has some kind of leftover trauma, and this leads to some drama with her aunt, who is forced to chase her around Japan, stressing out over her, eventually culminating in a scene in which, influenced by a god, she lashes out at Suzume, telling her she made her waste precious years of her life. She eventually apologizes and says that's not true, which I'm sure was true, but you can kinda tell that the relationship they had was one of circumstances forced upon them, not one grown out of love but out of obligation. Still, they found happiness in the relationship, which I think is rather sweet even if neither of them had it easy. Courtesy of my friend here for the aunt's analysis. Couldn't have done it without you, buddy. With all these pieces in place, we arrive at perhaps the most powerful scene in the movie. As Suzume goes back in time where she lost everything, it is revealed to us that she lost her mother in March 11th. My birthday, coincidentally, but also the real life date of a tsunami that took the lives of thousands across Japan in 2011. For the first time, Shinkai is doing a natural disaster directly taken from a real-life event, which, as you may assume, will be a heavy subject matter for many Japanese people watching. This alone may be considered shock value, but it is what comes after it that recontextualizes this moment and the entire movie into something greater than I ever could have foreseen. Over the film, we get a motif of connection and appreciation, how the people of Japan express thankfulness for the food they are given, how family members and friends are concerned for each other, and just how even a random stranger is willing to do everything in their power to help you out, on the contrary to all the places we visit, which were struck by the destruction and thus left to rot over the years. So, as Soda and Suzume try to stop the worm, pleading for the life of those living, suddenly the motif gets its shape. Even in the wake of disasters, it is our connection, our feeling of community or of solidarity, what makes us strive, what takes our hand even in the direst of times and makes us pull through. It's what all the minor characters did, it's what Suzume's aunt did, and it's what Suzume does now. And as Suzume finds herself talking to her younger self, she cries with her in the knowledge that they both lost an enormously important part of her life, but comforts her, telling her that life will take her in a path that, while difficult, will make her find a lot of happiness. Needless to say, this movie has an incredibly powerful message. The amount of hope it wants to give back to the Japanese, as well as anyone who suffered a loss or a tragedy, is truly worthy of anyone's admiration. It's one thing to depict an issue with respect, it's a whole different thing to lift people's spirits up and help them deal with their grief. This is when my initial question starts looking a little bit silly, don't you think? Is Suzume better than Your Name? No. And so what? Nothing shameful about coming short of one of the best movies ever made. I wanted it to be a masterpiece, but some weak elements like Daijin and Suzume and Sora's relationship soured me from giving such praise. If you want my ranking, it'd be between Children Who Chase Lost Voices and Weathering With You. But, I mean, does this really matter? I just spoke of a film that tackled such an important topic and came the other way swinging. The relevance of this movie is bigger than any criticism I can offer. For just one time, let's forget about rankings and comparisons and scores and just say, we got an emotionally potent and artistically mesmerizing film about dealing with loss, depicting a real-life tragedy that actually let victims get something out of it. Suzume's legacy will forever be lifted into the skies by this fact alone, and I for one take this as a sign of something larger than life itself. Thanks for watching.